Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the new moon in Aries that happens on the 1st of April 2022. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. The chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this new moon takes place, and it happens at 7:24 in the morning, and that's based on Central European time. If you're in a different time zone, then take that into account. But the new moon and the full moon, those are 3-day events as far as I'm concerned. It's an energy that influences you for a number of days, and it's an energy that you can tap into easily. And I'm really excited about this new moon because it's so positive. It has an amazing, empowering quality to it. It's about problem solving, overcoming obstacles, setting goals and actually achieving them, and being able to push through anything that stands in your way. So if you felt a little bit off lately, like maybe things have been a bit murky or difficult to suss out, if you feel like you haven't made a lot of progress or the pace has been somewhat slow, then this is a great time to reset, to start over, because it's so straightforward. It's all about achieving and getting results and doing things that are aligned with your purpose. And it gives you a great deal of confidence. You're not going to be sitting there doubting yourself or fretting. What I noticed is all the ones in the chart. Obviously, we've got the 1st of April, so the first day of the new month. That's promising. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So if you look at the traditional astrology chart, Aries is associated with the ascendant, the rising sign. So it's all about the promise of a new day, what you can do with all the time that you've got available, and how you want to shape that day and how you want to make it yours, really. So it's very much about taking control of the situation and planning ahead in a way that suits you, and being very focused on yourself and your own needs and how you can use your power in an appropriate way. The sun and the moon then are at 11 degrees. So even more ones, but 11 is the master number of service in numerology. So that to me says two things. One, that if you take action, you'll be able to be of service to yourself. And two, by achieving your own goals, you can help other people. So especially if you're doing things which have an influence on those around you, if you're an activist or if you're writing something to educate, or if you're trying to problem solve not only for yourself but for other people in your life, then this new moon supports that incredibly. And the new moon in itself is when the moon goes pitch black and it pulls lots of energy in to recharge its batteries so it can complete its next 28-day cycle. So not only is this supercharged in terms of Aries, but because of the placement of the sun and the moon, you have even more power going in. And like if you think of Aries, usually this is Aries squared. What's also interesting is that in terms of the modes in astrology, we have different signs that are assigned different modes. We've got cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So cardinal is about taking charge and saying, what am I going to do? Fixed is about the status quo and maintaining what is. And mutable is about going with the flow. And the strongest mode on this day is cardinal. So you really are the boss here. You're the magician. You're the person who says, okay, I've got my whole life in front of me. The world is my little oyster. And how am I going to create something that's enchanting for myself? Yeah, so again, if certain things have felt impossible to overcome or impossible to deal with, you'll be quite surprised and interested to see that those things take on a completely different appearance as such, and they seem really easy now. The strongest elements are fire and earth. Now, fire is a masculine element, and that is about your life purpose and what you're passionate about and what you want to create in your future. And earth is a feminine element that has to do with your practical circumstances, your career, your physical health, your environment, and it's about adapting what is. So the great thing here is that the ingredient for success, so to speak, is what is my will and how can I apply that to my life as it exists already. So you can perfect certain circumstances, you can alter things which at other times may be set in stone completely and where you don't have any kind of wiggle room. Everything is up for discussion. It seems like everything is up for grabs. And if you want it, then it's immediately very possible. So in the chart, if I'm looking at your birth chart like this, the rising sign, the way I interpret that, is your default setting. That's what you're naturally given. The sun is what you're trying to get to. It's your conscious identity, and it's associated with the solar plexus chakra, what makes you feel alive and what gives you a sense of power and control. The moon is what you feel. Both the sun and the moon are at 11 degrees in Aries here. So your heart and your head are on the same page, they're working together, and if you see something, it makes you feel a certain way, the two are going to talk to one another and give you a lot of information. Particularly what I keep getting is, what is it that I want and how can I get it? It's very much about manifestation, but not by kind of solely using your intellect or your spiritual strength. It's about what makes me feel revved up, what gets my blood pumping, and how can I then do the legwork to get to where I want to get to. Yeah, so it's interesting to say this is very grounded because the moon is in Aries, obviously a fire sign, but it seems so straightforward, and it seems like you get a vacation from rumination or seeing things as overly complex. Suddenly, things make sense. And they're all available to you. I think a lot of us need this right now because March has been quite challenging. And I would say the last 8 weeks have been a time of major upheaval and where there are a lot of things going on in the external world which have brought up a lot of anxiety and which have made us feel kind of out of control. So this is a nice fresh start where you can say, okay, I don't have to control everything in the world, but there are certain things where I'm very skilled, I've got experience, and I can take charge of the situation. And I think for a lot of us, having this feeling like if there is a problem, if I'm able to do something about it, then that gives me a sense of relief almost. It's like I'm not just this passive observer to everything that's going on. If I decide something is good and right and I want to make it bigger, and I can, that can be very reassuring almost, because it kind of provides evidence that you do have strength and you can apply yourself in a way that's constructive and useful. Yeah. The screaming child outside agrees with me. Okay, then we've got 2 planets kind of flanking this new moon. First of all, we have the asteroid Chiron. That's at 12 degrees in Aries. And then we have Mercury, the communication planet, at 9 degrees in Aries. So both are said to be conjunct, and they blend their energies in with the new moon. Chiron is the wounded healer, and the wounded healer in Aries says, heal thyself. If you look around and if you make an effort, then nothing is out of your reach, and you can heal any things which, again, if someone tells you, for instance, that this is permanent and it's impossible, whether that's a health thing or a problem in your life that needs healing, this kind of gives you the sense that if I try hard enough, I'm going to find a way through this. It's okay if other people say it's impossible. If I get it, then I can do it. So it kind of gives you this sense that you're an inventor, you're the person who's in the right place at the right time, and that if you look hard enough, you'll get everything that you need. And Chiron is also at 12 degrees. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 in numerology is communication and new beginnings. So information is your friend. If you need to know something, you'll know where you need to go or who you need to speak to get the right info. And that then adds to all this fire energy to say, I've got everything I need, I've done my research, and that qualifies me to now move ahead. Mercury, the communication planet in Aries, is very strong. It says, my opinion is important, my perspective on things is just as important as anybody else's, And just because you say no doesn't make it true, or just because you say I'm wrong does not make it true either. So that's a very nice placement for people who doubt themselves a lot or who are easily shut down. If that's something that you struggle with, you're going to find that you're not easily shut down and you're really kind of feeling scrappy almost. If that kind of thing happens, you're going to puff yourself up and say, hang on a minute. If you're on the other extreme of that, if you tend to influence other people, or if you think my will is the top priority here and I need to make sure other people do what I want, and if you react badly, you know, if there's a spanner in the work, basically if you have a tendency to do too much of that, if you even bully people, or if you impose yourself in situations where it's not really appropriate, then do watch out for that, because this huge amount of confidence can be taken to the extreme, and then you could come across as angry or willful or extreme in some way. What mitigates this is that Mercury is at 9 degrees. 9 in numerology is the Hermit, and the Hermit always carries this lantern and he's looking to become enlightened. And he realizes that that's something that he can only do for himself. He doesn't expect someone else to give him the answers, or he doesn't think, right, if I bully this group of people, then I'm suddenly going to understand everything. He goes out into the world by himself and he tries to create meaning and to connect with something bigger than himself, which is going to provide more light and energy and understanding. So you can see that the Hermit, obviously being by himself and really being on this authentic journey of discovery, he isn't going to waste his energy by pushing someone else down or by getting into arguments or screaming and shouting. So Mercury in Aries then is like this real focus on one particular issue or one problem that you can then throw everything at in order to make it go poof. So that's good because your strength is going to be focused and channeled in a very constructive way, but also it means you're unlikely to become overwhelmed. You do one thing after the next. You don't try and do everything at once, and because you're working in a very structured way, you can make a lot of progress, you can get a lot done, and there's very little room for biting off more than you can chew, because you know exactly how much you can deal with in any given moment. Yeah, and you're not going to go into this fuzzy mode of, oh, I've done too much here, I've tried to achieve too much. Because the lantern provides that light and you have understanding around each issue, but one thing after the next is going to work best. Trying to combine things and read into them too much, that's going to slow you down. Although I really don't think that's going to be an issue. Then we've got the new moon forming a lot of relationships with other things in the chart. First of all, we have a semi-square, so the new moon in Aries is 45 degrees away from the North Node at 24 degrees in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign, and it's the most earthy of all the signs, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to things in your life, how you live, what you have in your bank account, if you've got a great job that you love and enjoy and that gives you a sense of security. 2 and 4 is 6, and 6 is a temporary opportunity, and the North Node in the birth chart is the direction you're heading in on a spiritual level. And the feeling I get with the North Node here in this chart is you have an opportunity to get what you want, to acquire things, which to me is a very interesting topic because I'm a triple earth in my birth chart, and all the earth signs, the signs that oppose them are all water signs. And my experience has taught me that if you go out there and you try and get things, the world often retaliates as such, and those things seem to elude you and you seem to chase them. But if you go internally and you say, what is it the universe wants me to do for a sense of fulfillment and to expand all the wonderful things that exist in me already, then what I've noticed is that things kind of appear as a side effect. So let's say, I need to get something out there, I have nothing. It creates a major imbalance because it's like, I'm lacking and that's rich and full. And that makes the journey much steeper and much harder. If you say, I'm looking for love, for instance, rather than going on all the dating apps and writing to everybody you possibly can write to, saying, hey, love already exists in me. Instead of scrambling, how can I make that bigger? And I'm going to talk to the universe about that. What can I do to feel loving and positive? Then it will give you concrete guidance and say, for instance, meditate or write a beautiful poem that you can then be proud of and that makes you feel the love and you're in love with your own talents and all of that kind of stuff. Then the journey isn't as steep because you already have the love on this end. And then if you're looking for it in the outside world, it's a much easier journey. It's like a treadmill that isn't at 45-degree angle, it's kind of flat. And again, it often gets rid of this need to get anything to begin with because you're like, well, I have some of it in here already. And like attracts like. So a vacuum is going to have a hard time attracting love and contentment and bliss because the two are polar opposites. But if I'm full of positive vibes, then other people pick up on that or circumstances seem to mesh with it and attracts more of the same. So with the North Node at 24 degrees in Taurus, intuitively you understand all of that and you have these good things living inside of you. So the Taurus energy then kind of almost gives you a map, or it lays something out in front of you that you can walk down nicely to get things in a way. I don't know if I'm saying this properly, but it's like things come into your life rather than you chasing them. And you know how to deal with that intuitively, so it's not this desperate search for meaning or things. And because it's the North Node, it means that this is part of your life purpose. So if something does come into your life, you can trust that it's meant to be there. Then the other semi-square, 45 degrees in the other direction, the new moon connects Venus at 25 degrees in Aquarius. Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity. Aquarius is information and teaching and learning. And 25 is using your intellect to see what works best for you. So Venus gives you a love for info, and it also allows you to see the future in terms of, if I do this, it's going to impact other people, and what is the most loving outcome for myself and everyone else. There's something else though about Venus in Aquarius. It makes the whole journey not seem like this life and death process. It means that even if things don't work out 100% positively all the time, you're willing to learn from everything that happens. So I feel that this Venus placement makes you very accepting of duality, the dual nature of things that happen on this planet, and you're not so ready to judge something as good or bad or as useful or not useful. You're much more tolerant of everything that happens, kind of as this is happening for a reason, and I believe truly inside that it will lead me to where I want to go. So you're not going to be discouraged by anything that seems untoward or less than ideal. These two then, Venus and the North Node in Taurus and the rising in Taurus, they square one another. So there's an ability to let go of what you want to acquire by looking within, and also accepting things which are imperfect and seeing the beauty in those. So if you have a very rigid list of exactly what you want, you're going to be much more adaptable than usual. Wow. So with manifestation, if you're kind of doing a vision board and you're putting your pictures up of what you want to bring into your life, if something seems to be a bit different, but it makes you feel the same joy and love that you were expecting, then you're going to be very willing to accept that and to embrace it and to jump on it, because the universe will present you with good things that aren't necessarily exactly the way you pictured them. So let yourself be surprised, which is even better than just manifesting one particular thing, I feel. We've got Saturn and Mars also in Aquarius next to Venus. Saturn is at 22 degrees in Aquarius. Mars is at 19 degrees in Aquarius. So this whole process is about acceptance, but also the things you learn on this day, the things that you overcome and are able to deal with. You'll remember that and you'll make a mental note for future reference. So this isn't just a 3-day event. This is going to teach you quality stuff that you can then implement for the rest of your life. It's very, very useful. So be willing to learn. And if something does happen that isn't ideal, then look at that as an opportunity to gain more skills. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think the final outcome, you're going to get to a good place anyway. You are going to have a good outcome. So don't sweat the little things that are less than wonderful. Okay, then we have the new moon sesqui squaring the South Node in Scorpio, and they're 135 degrees away from one another. So the new moon in Aries says, let's go, let's do it. And the South Node in Scorpio at 24 degrees says there's an opportunity to heal past disappointment through real success in the present. So you're able to tip the scale. And even though certain events or circumstances aren't healed because they're no longer in your life, it's almost like, well, the good stuff that I have right now outweighs those negative things that I've had before. So that really is healing, because if you're like, oh, you know, I've been so disappointed in what I've had to go through, then being presented with something that makes you feel the love in the here and now means that you're able to put less significance on those past disappointments, and you're much happier to celebrate the present positive moment. Jupiter and Neptune are in Pisces near to the new moon. They don't conjunct it, technically. Jupiter is good luck, good fortune. 21 degrees in Pisces, it allows you to connect with your higher self easily. And Neptune at 23 degrees in Pisces indicates that talking to your higher self, that gives you the information so that you can create real freedom. And I feel that it's built in. You don't need to sit there and meditate too much. That's something that already exists inside of you. So if you have been trying to make spiritual progress, you've arrived. The spiritual progress is right here. And the voice of spirit is then saying, walk or run or actually do it. Make things happen for yourself. No longer contemplate them. The time for understanding is right here. The Hermit is shining his light on you right now. So it's a good time to actually build something. Okay, then we've got, I think that's it in terms of the aspect patterns. Let me just double check. The rising in Taurus at 27 degrees is really encapsulates everything I've talked about. 2 and 7 is 9, that's the Hermit again. And Taurus is the physical world. So you're able to translate between the abstract spiritual world and the physical world. And there's a dialogue with you being in the middle, listening to both sides and understanding how you can bring them together. Okay, I'm just kind of tilting my head to see if there's anything else here. We've got Pluto sitting on top of the midheaven. The midheaven in the chart often indicates what you're going to be good at work-wise. And Pluto is about transforming things and changing them. It's at 28 degrees in Capricorn. So 2 and 8 is 10. That's 1 in numerology. Again, the pioneering energy of the moon and of Aries. And in Capricorn, it says, if you want to change your work or your circumstances, this is the best area to apply all of this energy to. So ask yourself what you want to change in where you live, or if you do want to move, or if you want to create a second source of income, if you want to change your diet. Again, everything is up for discussion and nothing puts you off as this is a done deal. Or you made this decision in the past, you made your bed, now you have to lie in it. No, you can get a new bed. You can buy a new mattress. I've mentioned the South Node. And what's interesting as well is that most of the activity here is in the fourth quadrant. The fourth quadrant is houses 10, 11, and 12. So 10 is work, 11 is your hopes and dreams and connections with other people. And the 12th house is spirituality and a connection with the higher realms. So the way I think this works is that the natural presence of the hermit saying, hello, higher realms, we're right here talking to you. By listening to him and implementing what he says, it's going to have a wonderful influence on your working life particularly, but also any hopes and dreams that you have for the future. You'll know what steps you need to take to make those things real, to expand on them. And that's it. So I hope this gives you an idea of, if I didn't stutter, I hope this gives you an idea of what you'll be working with here, what the new moon in Aries is going to look like. If you'd like a personal reading with me, so if you'd like me to draw up your birth chart like this and to analyze it, then same thing, I just need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, I can use sunrise, or what's even more accurate is I can rectify your chart. That's a process where you give me 10 or more life events, and I can actually work out the moment you were born. And once I've got the chart in front of me, I can look at it in exactly the same way. Your default setting, work, talents, hopes and dreams, spiritual development. Also, what's interesting is empty houses in the chart often appear as areas where you do feel a sense of lack, and I desperately want to fill it. Or it can represent, this is something I'm not interested in at all, and what that then says about you and means for your everyday experience. So the chart is just so interesting. If you want me to have a look at yours, please do get in touch. I also use the tarot and numerology in my personal readings, and I combine all three. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.